to another episode of Boosted Rolls, our Machine and Horse podcast focused on EU meta, tournaments, and tactics. My name is Tomasz, and I play Circle.
Hi, I'm Simon, and I play Legion. And with us today, we're joined by the winner of the Swedish Masters at the Battle of Lund. Dramatic pause, followed by...
Hi, I am Robin, and I play Circle, sorry.
That's epic. Let's not change a bit of that. Let's monster pause and all.
That was intended.
Yeah, no, I got that bit.
So before we start, there's something really exciting I wanted to announce, but I don't know how to start. So Simon, help.
Yes, we've been asked and are delighted to do so to talk about Boosted Con, which will be the very first American-style convention held in Poland. So this one is going to be a big one. It's in the Park Hotel Diamant Zabrze. Oh my God, I murdered that. And that is on the 29th of November. Once again, the name of the hotel is...
So the hotel name is Diamant, and it's in Zabrze. It's probably really hard to pronounce it for non-Polish people, but the important thing is it's in south of Poland, and it's very, very close to Katowice airport. Like, it's really close. And Katowice airport is very well connected to the rest of the Europe, and there are many budget flights from all over the Europe there, so you should be able to find a good connection. The convention itself will have 3 main tournaments there for War Machine players, at least. On Friday, we are having LCQ for EU Masters, which is basically a Masters tournament, but after 4 rounds, there's going to be a cut for Sunday. On Saturday, we have 3-man team tournament, which is probably the favorite thing for every War Machine player. We all love team tournaments. And then on Sunday, there will be top 8 for people from LCQ, and the person that's undefeated in LCQ with the highest strength of Shadow will join EU Masters, which is a tournament for European Master Crown for champions from all over Europe.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, basically the EU Masters has previously been held in Brno in Czech Republic, so my... hometown at the moment, and it was the idea was to bring in various national masters of all the tournaments around Europe and get them to fight in one big European Masters tournament here. But for a number of reasons, that's basically being shifted over to become part of Boosted Con, so we can bring both of those sort of audiences, the Polish crowd, the first big American tournament to be held in American-style tournament, to be held in Poland, and also the EU Masters group, all together in one place. So it should be really quite large. In addition to that, there's going to be Riot Quest, Monster Apocalypse, and Guild Ball tournaments. So there'll be other nerds there that are playing other things. So really quite a big event.
Yeah.
Anything else that we've been asked to mention about that? I can't remember.
I don't think so. For people that are interested, you can search Facebook events for BoostedCon 2019, or you can go to Quali Geeks EU site, and all the info and I believe tickets are there.
Yeah, Simon Ratka is the organizer, so many of you will know who he is, and if you got questions, by all means, throw them over to him.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. I believe you wanted to ask Robin a question before the show.
So, Robin, quick question, just based on some discussion I saw elsewhere. What is the name of the 10-man, possible with CA, is it CA or UA? We'll find out in a moment, Scorn ranged unit that was made famous in the Rasheth list in the previous WCC?
Oh, you mean the dildo cannon guys? Funny name, I know. But the Untitled Raider has a similar weapon, and somebody pointed out it looked like a dildo. So the name stuck around.
This cracked me up. So we were on the Circle chat, and suddenly Robin starts talking about the dildo cannon guys. And I was like, what the fuck are we talking about now? Like, which list is this? He's like, yeah, the dildo cannon guys. You know, the guys with the... Oh, dear.
The needlers.
Oh, God, it took me a while to work out what the hell we were talking about. Right, good. So we got that out of the way. Important business. Any other important business? No, good. So, moving on to the Battle at Lund, which is what we're actually here to talk about. Tomasz, take it away.
All right, so Robin, tell us something about the event. Tell us about the Battle at Lund, where it is, how it is organized, and how was your travel?
Okay, so the Battle at Lund is an American-style con, I would say, as well, in Malmö, Sweden. For once, my trip was problem-free. I blame Johan partly, or it's thanks to him since he wasn't around. The last few trips, I think Mark made a meme about this. Our last few trips has gone not so well.
Yeah, last year you
late
arrived
and all
about 5 minutes after round one started, right?
That's correct, yes. But it doesn't matter how we get there. The event is always really nice. It's at a nice hotel venue, Good Morning Hotel in Malmö.
Yeah.
And they always, I don't know, they fix the lunch and all that. Usually, or always great.
And how did you find the organization?
Organization.
Did you feel it? Did you feel it went smoothly, or did you feel it was like start times, round times, lunch, all that sort of stuff? You know.
Yeah, it went smoothly. Nowadays, like it was four games a day, so quite relaxed schedule, but not too relaxed either. So got a lot of talking in between rounds, but all in all, really good schedule.
And speaking about schedule, can you give us an idea what tournaments were there?
The tournament is kind of similar to the EU Masters you plugged earlier. There's the Masters on Friday, and then we have the team tournament on Saturday. And the Masters, instead of the EU Masters, we play the top 8 cut on Saturday.
Sunday.
The guys who doesn't make Sunday, sorry. The guy who doesn't make it in the cut are put in steamrollers during that day.
Yeah, and I'm going to jump in there actually because I was one of those guys. Didn't make the cut sadly. Went 3-1, but then I was miles away from the top 8, so and fair enough really. So, wanted to throw up a quick topic just before we get into our usual sort of battle report trenches and go through the round by rounds. Based on some feedback that I had after the event. So what happened was on Friday, as Robin said, was the Masters, which was 4 rounds, and everybody, as far as I know, everybody played in that. And then on the Saturday, as mentioned, the team tournament. So that was a 5-man team tournament, and we're hoping we'll be able to do an episode about that in the future. And then on Sunday, as mentioned, top 8 went on and played an invitational, sort of a finals, and the rest of the pack, as it were going to be left to do steamrollers. And so on the day before, in the evenings, we were sort of chatting with the group of us that were staying with Johan, and we were thinking about the schedule for Sunday and what was going to happen. And so I sort of went back a little bit to, I think the first time I saw it, I mean, I'm sure it's happened many times before, but it happened in, what's the tournament in London? It's not SmogCon. BonesCon, thank you. I was remembering the old name. So at BonesCon, where Johan basically wanted to make sure that during the free time, the time when like official tournaments weren't organised, that we still managed to make the best use of our time. You know, a lot of us have travelled a long way to get there, and it's our best opportunity to meet, you know, strongest players from different regions and to really stretch ourselves a little bit. And so he organised in the evenings over the 2 days a 4-round tournament that was meant to be sort of the sort of more casual tournament, but ended up being the sharkiest Shark Tank I've ever seen. I think did we end up with 16 players?
Yes, I think so.
I think it was 16.
I think we were just 12 or something, but
was it 12 anyway? But it was meant to be like 16, and in the end, like it was. I think it was some of the best players I know. And like, even if you were in the X2 bracket, you were still up against absolute monsters. And in my opinion, it was an absolutely fantastic tournament. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was sort of a great opportunity to casually play against incredibly strong players. And so that was something that I kind of wanted to replicate and reproduce on the Sunday. And so what I did was had a chat with some of the guys that I was with and said, you know, does that sound like a good idea? Would people be interested in that? They said, yeah, absolutely. You just do it. And I thought, well, the problem with that is that it might sort of step on the toes of the organisers a little bit, because they'd said they were going to organise something, but none of us had heard what it was going to be at that time. So I went and had a chat with them and said, look, what's happening on Sunday? You know, if you've got a schedule, if you've got a programme, I don't want to interrupt it. But if you haven't, then this happened in London, and I'd like to do it again here if it's appropriate. And they said, if you can bring me 16 players and basically organize 2 of our steamrollers for us, then we're all for it. That's great. Okay, fine, went away. Basically walked around the room and chatted with people that I knew had been performing well in the Masters and saying, how are you doing? Oh, I'm 3-1. Oh, fantastic. Would you be interested on Sunday playing in a steamroller? Repeat. Obviously, asked several of my friends that I knew had done well. I mean, not going to lie, that's an obvious starting point for that sort of tournament. You get people involved, and then you go and say, look, we're all involved. Would you like to be involved? And so on. Got up to 16 players. On the Sunday, we went and played this tournament out, and I've got to say that they were some of the best games I had in terms of learning. Like, it was a very strong lineup of players, and really interesting games, and I know for a fact that several players ended up having really, really close games and were able to sort of test stuff that they maybe didn't want to test in the Masters or the team tournament, where a bit more is at stake, shall we say. And so that went well. After the tournament, one guy, I won't mention who, just in case he doesn't want to be mentioned, but I really respected him for coming and chatting to me. He came and sort of just passed on some negative feedback, which was that obviously I'd had positive feedback from people in the tournament, saying, great time, etc. But he wanted to pass on the negative feedback that quite a lot of people felt excluded, that they hadn't been invited, and that they weren't able to play in this, and that there was some sort of elitist tournament going on in the corner that they were unaware of or unavailable to join. I should say no one actually asked me to join it that I turned down. One guy sort of asked me just as we filled up, and I said, I'm really sorry, but we've just filled up, but if a spot comes available, obviously I'll get you in. And so it just led me to think about, and I think it's quite a topical discussion, elitism, because the WTC is coming up, and WTC players are sort of the most often accused of being elitist. And since neither of you were in this tournament, I thought it might be a really objective way, other than the fact that you're my friends, obviously, and I hope you're not going to shit on me immediately, like you're a bastard. Why did you do this? What have you done? But I'd love to hear your thoughts on Shark Tank type tournaments, exclusive tournaments, all the things that I just spoke about, basically. And I'd just like to bring that out into the air, not as a sort of, I don't need to clear my name or anything like that. I'm not that bothered. I would do it again, and I think it was a great idea. And personally, I am a bit elitist, and that's okay with me. It's fine. But what do you guys think?
I think the idea is great with a tournament for a Shark Tank tournament. But maybe keep it open to everybody, and the one who feels like they can join and compete and do want those good games can be able to join.
How can you guarantee a Shark Tank tournament if you allow anybody to join?
Yeah, that's true. It might be hard, but I just trust that everybody know how good they are. Sure, a few people might not be as good as everybody else, or so there might be some not as good games, or how I don't know how to put it.
No, I get it. I mean, obviously, we're all trying to be polite as well. Like,
yeah.
So you would simply say, like, as an announcement, hey guys, we're trying to organize a Shark Tank tournament, like a really strong end tournament. The result of that would still be to take 16 players out of the pool that other players could play against. So maybe some of those casual players, some of those weaker players would not be able to play against those players, and maybe that's why they attended the tournament. And I think maybe that's a point that this guy was making. But I don't know how to balance. I don't know how to balance that idea.
No, I see that. Field of 16 at the Battle of Lund, where we had like at least 4 or 5 WTC team. Seems a bit like small field, maybe.
That was actually my biggest regret. So I wished I'd made it bigger, not smaller. But again, if we do that, what we're doing is we're saying, look, we're taking all the good players, inverted commas, good. Then we're cutting a line and saying, you guys can't play with them. Like,
yeah, it would still be the same thing, but yes,
even bigger. It would be, and it would be even worse because, like, to say that you're not in the top 16 might not be particularly deflating, right? You just say, I'm not top 16. That's a shame.
But top 32, then it's like, even more than that.
That's a punch in the gut, isn't it?
With the invitation, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So is it simply better to not run that tournament? I feel not. I feel that those types of tournaments are some of the most fun I have. They provide some of the best training, and I absolutely love them. But based on this feedback, I just really wanted to get it out there. Tomasz, you've not joined in yet. What are your thoughts on this sort of tournament?
Oh, I think it was a great idea. If this is something you came to this convention to do, I mean, to play some good games against good opponents, and tournament organizers and tournament schedule allow something like this, that's great. You should do it. And I don't think there's a great way to organize it. I mean, to make everyone happy. There will be probably always someone that feel bad that they didn't get in. But if I were to take a lesson from it, I would say for the future it should be made with more objective terms to get in. I mean, after day one, you just look at the list of players. Top 8 will play in the Invitational, so you just simply go down the list and choose next 8 or 16 players with no exceptions. And if someone is don't want to jump in, you just go down the list and pick the next player, just like that. Even if that excludes some really good players that were just unlucky in the tournament. Because the way this was done maybe made some people felt excluded from the Cool Kids Club. Maybe it brought some bad memories for them for being excluded from some activities in their lives. So yeah, this is this is my take on it.
No. I mean, so first of all, I should again stress that the feedback, all feedback, positive, negative, all of it, is always really, really welcome. And I think that to go to somebody after a tournament and to say, hey, I think this was wrong, takes a lot of doing, and I really appreciate it. And it genuinely was like, how can we improve it? And I think what we seem to be agreeing on is just making it as objective as possible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we, roughly speaking, agree that it's okay to exclude people based on objective rank, since that's what's happening anyway, right? The winner of the tournament is the guy who didn't lose, and we're simply taking that a notch down and saying the guys who lost slightly less than everybody else then play in the next level of tournament.
Yep.
Earlier years, they have done something similar, at least try to put equal good players in their subjective minds of the organizers into 8-man scramblers on the Sunday.
Yeah, I mean that is essentially what happened this time.
Yeah, but not as.
But only
obviously.
Me. Yeah. It's interesting because I'm really strongly in favor of skill-based tournaments and to have that sort of thing. And for reference, I didn't exclude anybody purposefully, and it certainly wasn't my intention to hurt anyone's feelings. I mean, I realize it's a game, but even so, certainly not my intention. My intention was simply to make sure that we got the best value we could from the time that we had there, given how much time and money we've all invested to be there, to try and get this sort of sharky atmosphere. And my actual initial fear was that I wouldn't be able to get enough players, that I wouldn't be able to organize it. I've never organized a tournament before, and so I just was worried that I wouldn't be able to fill the list. So I immediately went around to all my friends and was like, hey, you'll help me out, right? You'll join. And then once I had the numbers going down, I reached 16, I was like, great, I filled it, woo! I didn't sort of think, hang on a minute, there are 8 more good players over there, which is what I kind of wish I'd done. Anyway, right, that's enough time on that. Appreciate your thoughts. Anything else on that? I don't want to shut you out. Anything else you want to say about elitism or Shark Tank tournaments or anything along those lines?
Not that comes to mind right now, no.
All right. Cool. In which case, we will move on and we'll consider that discussed. So, battle reports. Again, once more, we're going to remember not to forget the pairings. So, what was your pairing? Robin, what did you take to this tournament that was so successful for you?
I brought my usual Baldur list that I always bring. Baldur is the thing I play mostly, paired with Kruger too, in bonus.
All right, and how did those lists look?
The Baldur list is really, really similar to what Brett brought to the Swedish Masters, I think.
All right.
In that it has Stormraptor, Getorix, and Then I don't other unit of Ravagers, Breeding Call. Then I also have Death Wolves, the Well Warblers, which is so fucking good with Balder. It's insane.
Yep.
Other than that, I think there's the Blood Shaman, Shifting Stones, Triple Gallus Grow. I don't
Yeah,
know
that's a
if I
requisition.
remembered everything.
So, a couple of things that sort of stand out to me. First of all, 1 unit of Ravagers,
Yep.
no Weavers.
No, the thing is, you need to be able to fit two Warbees on this new scenario pack, and then 1 Ravagers had to go for Gutterix.
Fair enough.
That's basically it.
And then no Ambush on this scenario packet?
It would have been great, but points are limited to 75, sadly.
Fair enough. And then we get to the Kruger list.
The Kruger list is, I think the Circle community has built this list. Whoever you ask, they'll tell you roughly the same list. But there, let's see if I can find it now. I actually don't know it.
The suspense is killing me.
Kruger 2, Megaleaf, World Guardian, World Warden, Woldwort, 2 units of Sentry Stone, 2 units of Shifting Stones, 3 Gallows Grows, 2 Stone Shapers, and a well.
Yeah, see, all the Circle community knows it.
Right, except for me, because I'm not playing Bones. So I'm stepping back from this discussion. Guys, tell me about this list. What does it do? What's it meant to see? And so on.
My intention for this list, since I don't play Bones either that much, or Kruger for that matter, was only to take Grimkin. Was my intention with the list, and it did so successfully, I might add.
So we've got Balder 1 for basically everything, and then Kruger 2 for Grimkin. And is that regardless of the Grimkin pair? Like, if you see double bump, are you still dropping Kruger, or is it just that you're afraid of clocks and Dark Menagerie?
Mainly the afraid of clock bit, but in bump there is usually a lot of clock nowadays, like at least 4 of them.
Yeah.
So probably Kruger, no matter the Grimkin list.
Okay, so still Kruger. Lovely. So we move into the battle reports, otherwise we'll be here all day. One thing we're going to do is that obviously me and Tomasz were both attending this event as well, and so we are going to only do 1 battle report each, just from a game that we thought was particularly interesting or relevant for whatever reason, and we'll do that at the same time that Robin does that round. So, for example, the game that I'm going to talk about was actually my round 1, so we'll do Robin's round 1 and then my round 1. But mainly we're here to listen to Robin. So, Robin, tell us about your round 1. Who was your opponent?
Okay, round 1, we played Bunkers, if I remember this correctly.
We did,
right?
yeah.
Yep.
And my opponent was Hans Leonard. Won't try to pronounce that last name because,
Fair enough.
he's Norwegian WTC player, by the way. And brought Saul 2 and something else. I think it's the Xerxes 2 Drake spam, or with turtles and stuff nowadays.
Yeah. Xerxes 2, bunch of Drakes, couple of turtles, yeah.
Yeah, he played it last WTC to great success, from what I know, and also at Conquest, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I might be just making this up, but I think that's the case.
Fair enough. And I presume from your uncertainty as to his second list that he chose Zal 2.
Zal 2, yes.
And I presume because you're Robin, you chose Balder 1.
That I did.
Lovely. All right. So, tell us about the terrain. Tell us about the game. How did it go?
The game... Okay, I was really happy that it was Bunkers and a fast scenario against Saul, because I think that's kind of needed to have the game favored.
Okay.
Terrain-wise, it was a bit in my favor as well. There was a really big obstruction just to the right of the central flag, from my perspective. And to the left of the central flag was a smaller obstruction. They were roughly like 6 or 7 inch apart. So it would make a really great place for like Getterix, Bridid and Cole and Feast to stand behind the rapid growth.
Right, okay.
So I think this table was really favored at my end.
All right. And who won the starting role?
I think I won the starting role and elected to go second.
And was that because of the terrain and you really wanted one side, or did you just want to score first?
I wanted to score first, mainly. Right. And a bit of terrain. It was a bit more open on one of the sides, and yeah.
All right.
Greater to move around the bird and stuff.
And so how did that game end up playing out? Did it go to a sort of a trying to rush a 5-up scenario, or was it an attrition grind, or?
Basically rushed the scenario. But we both of us just flunked our attack rolls in turn 2, so there was not as big of a rush as I would have liked it to be. Oh yeah. Bad attack roll combined with good toughs makes for a hilarious game, or just annoying game.
Depending on which way you look at it. So did you manage to go 5-up?
No, not 5-up. Yes. In like turn 4 or something, I think. There was 7-2.
Did he have one Supreme Guardian or 2?
There was 1 Supreme Guardian, 3 units of Immortals, double Ancestral Guardian, and Hakar.
Okay, and can you quickly describe how do you go up 5-2 against that much stuff with Vengeance, with Zal 2 feet in your face?
Good question.
Because this is what I struggle with every time I see Zal 2 on the table. So
yeah. So the key in this matchup is usually to snipe one of the UAs and then feet on the army. Since then only one immortal unit will be moving around freely within Gabriel.
Okay. And what are you sniping that with? With the Raptor or?
Raptor or Feast usually. Okay. Like his one job is to get an UA if possible. This game that happened. Feast stayed behind this big obstruction, got ported over by the shifting stones, and shot the immortal to get to the UA.
Okay.
And that way I could take over the one side and then just force the scenario in, basically.
Okay. And did you feel it was a close game? Had you not managed to score that 7th CP, let's say you ended the turn on 6, was he likely to come back at you hard?
Not really. The dice in turn, I think, 4 just totally shat on him, to be honest, and favored me. Despite Getteric's frenzying the turn before and all that, he survives, and yeah.
Right, he survived. He pulled off some bullshit. That's what we're saying.
There was some ghetto bullshit in this game.
Okay. Fair enough. So that's round 1. I'll jump into my round 1. It's just going to be a quick one, but this is where I was knocked out. So I got knocked out round 1, which was a bit sad. But it was a lovely game. I played against Hugo Nordland, who I think one or both of you also ended up playing against at some point during the tournament, and he was bringing Mercs. I should say that I was bringing Iona and Wormwood, both in Devourer's host. The Iona list has a Spray Heavy and a Primal Heavy, and 2 units of Ravagers, Haruspecs with on the ambush units, Bridget and Cowl, and some other bits and pieces, Feast and the usual stuff. And the Wormwood list had, and a Well, obviously, in the Iona list, and in the Wormwood list, a Raptor and a Well, and then 1 unit of Ravagers, Death Wolves, Bridget, did I have Bridget and Cowl in that one? I can't remember. Getterix, and the usual sort of support bits and pieces going on there. And he had Osram and Fiona. I was a little bit afraid of Fiona because I've not had practice against her, and Mercs are probably my least played against faction. Previously it was probably Rep, but now it's probably Mercs. And so Mercs have always been a bit of a problem for me. And also I was scarred by playing Legion into Osram and just getting my Blightbringer blasted to pieces by toilets. So jumped into the game, and it was Bunkers, and he said, he won the starting role, and he said, you know what? He said, listening to your podcast has really helped. I was like, oh, really? How so? He said, yeah, you said you never want to let Iona go second on Bunkers, so I'm going to go second. I'm like, fuck. God damn it. So, yes, I was playing Iona into Osram and desperately wanted to go second on Bunkers, and sadly not. So he had, the terrain was very, very good for him, especially since he got to choose the side. And he'd basically picked the Osram list because of that terrain, that he had 3 areas where he could just stick some heavies, stick some bunnies, and then just bulldoze to his heart's content and feet through and stuff like that. I moved up. I ran everything up, he ran everything up, and then I tried to contest as best I could. So that's a Ravager in contest of each flag, and I'd measured the bulldoze range on the heavies, or more likely like the angles, so they couldn't really get the angles to bulldoze them away. And in my head, his feat is movement, but in fact it's speed, and so his bunnies are able to go an unbelievably long way. And came from the real backfield. He feated and pushed me with the bunnies, which meant that he scored 4. And from that point, it was a really tough job to bring it back. 4-0 down on a live scenario is not where you want to be, and he'd done it well. But my dice during his feat were pretty damn good, and so stuff that might have been a bit dicey to kill was just definite kill. No problem kill. Which is nice. It takes a bit of pressure off during your turn. You're not, scrabbling around trying to finish something off. And so I was able to put quite a few things on to contest. I really contested hard as much as I could, but I'd made the game-losing error of not contesting his zone during the previous turn. So I hadn't managed to get anything in, and the only thing that could go in was a Wolf Rider champion, really. And in the end, because I'd forgotten about Anastasia Debray, the Wolf Rider champion needed to deal with Anastasia and then reposition onto a flag to score it. So I couldn't contest his zone after that point. So really, that was my sort of game-throwing mistake. Contested everything like mad, and in the end, it came down to such a close finish that he had 1 spray bunny remaining, and there was 1 contesting model remaining, namely Lord of the Feast, with full corpses. And so he needed a boosted 15 to kill him. And he had a bit of pressure, because if he didn't get that, then he had a Wolf Rider champion and a unit of Weavers staring down Osram on 0 camp. So I think a little bit of sweat was going as he gets these dice. And he's like, well, it's just going to have to be 15. Boom. It's like, fuck. That isn't to say that the game was down to dice. It's to say that that's how close the game was, that it just came down to 1 dice roll at the end. That's how tight it was. And it was a really wonderful game. Hugo, if you're listening, thank you very much again. It was a real pleasure. And also, damn you for knocking me out of the tournament. So that's my round 1. All right. So that's me done for the tournament. I'm out. Round 2. Robin, tell us, who was your opponent? What was the scenario?
The scenario was King of the Hill this time around. And my opponent was Olof Winroth.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, he plays Vlad 3, right?
Vlad 3 paired with...
Do you remember, Tomasz?
Yeah, his second list was Sorsha 1 in Doom River, Finfers.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. So King of the Hill, for those who don't remember, is the double rectangles on the edge of the board, circle zone in the middle with a flag in the middle of it, and you've both got the most dead objectives you've ever seen. So everybody takes treasure chests because they know it sure as hell isn't going to stay alive much past round 2. Yeah. So that against Olof. What did he pick? Did he play Vlad or did he play Sorsha?
He played Vlad.
Okay.
We have tried against Sorsha, I think, 2 times before into Baldur.
Okay.
Other tournaments and boot camps and such, to not that great of success. So Blood 3 it was this time around. The issue with our terrain setup here is what on one side there was 2 small obstructions and 2 liner obstacles. So moving a huge base around was going to be a real issue for one of us.
Right, okay. And who won the starting role? Who got to make that decision?
I think I won the starting role this time and chose to go second and pick the more open side.
Fair enough.
He deployed, I think, the Adjudicator in the middle, Vengers on one side, Champion, Paladin, Horsey guys on the other.
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
And so what is that list? It's Vlad 3 with a bunch of cavalry and Adjudicator. Is that basically it?
Yeah, and then you have a Crusader as well, and a unit of Initiates, because you can't leave home without them, apparently, if you play Manoth.
Shield Guards, yeah.
But he plays Kader.
Oh, yeah. Manoth.
So you can't leave home without them, even if you play Kador, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and so how did that game go? He runs up, you run up, and then?
Yeah, and then I shoot some horses with my Raptor. Things are going great. I'm blocking off there was a big obstruction in the middle to the right of the zone, blocking off with the forest there, putting Feast, Cole, and the Black Lad behind it. But then I make the mistake of getting greedy with the boulder feat, and I don't feat on turn 2 like I usually do. Usually with boulder, it's turn 1 or 2 feet.
Okay.
You can't stretch it.
What gave you the idea not to use it?
All the cavalry was on the flanks, and only in the middle there was just the Judicator, a Crusader that threatens 10 inches, so that was pretty easy to stay out of. And then there was Fenris as well. That was my fuck up, because the last model I activate was a Gallus Grove, which makes a prime sidestep target for him into my bunker of value models: Feast, Brided Call, Black Lad.
Okay.
So Olov not even considering not feating, I think, went quite quickly for that play of sending in Fenris into that bunker, and yeah.
And what did he get? Did he make a mess?
Yeah, he kills them all. And then with the blood 2 feet against sidestep and sprint, and on top of his sprinting back, he got 6 blood quench tokens. So I really can't kill him in return.
He's armor 22 with 6 tokens.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and then he got the dismount as well. I managed to kill the horsey somehow. The thing with doing this, Olov kind of moved blood to get the feet to Fenris. He needed to move blood where the Judicator wanted to go. So he boxed himself in while doing this. And I think that kind of made up for me losing all the value models.
Really? Okay, so how did you capitalize?
With the Judicator not being able to threaten my bird, I can move him kind of freely into the middle zone. I just stopped caring about scenario for a couple of turns and needed to focus on attrition, because scenario it's not that live unless you have 2 Warriors that can score. Which he did not have, or he did not have the position to do it, at least.
Fair enough.
So I pressured with the bird on one side, Getrix on the other side. So the Judicator had to choose where he wanted to go. He blocked him off from the bird, so he had to go for Getrix.
Mm-hmm.
But Getrix I can protect him with the rapid growth, so it's not that easy to get to him. Now I didn't rapid growth while I was feeding. For some reason, I think I just didn't have to.
He's got a bunch of cavalry and a Judicator. That sounds like the sort of list that you would need to protect yourself from. It sounds really odd to me. Was he just too passive, or?
I think he was a bit passive at the start. The Fenris play was excellent. With the Judicator, I think he misplaced the Judicator a bit.
And it was just that cost him the game. That was enough to cost him.
Yeah, I think
even after the Fenris cleaned up.
Yeah, I think that was the main part that cost everything, because it couldn't move about freely. It was blocked in by terrain all the time.
And so, how did the game end up? Did you kill it, or did you simply ignore it, attrition everything else, and win on scenario?
I did some cavalry charge to get to Rix, and he had to take 3 strikes to get to the Judicator. But in the end, I got to the Judicator and beat it to a pulp, basically. It survived for 1 turn, but on 8 boxes or something. And then he
had no repair?
No, I think there was a vassal mechanic. But the Judicator that is in melee with Getrix and within charge range of a bird have to choose one of them, and the other will take it down. Yeah.
Okay. So how did the game end?
The game ended on scenario in turn 6, I think, when Olaf had a vassal and blood left. I had the bird, 2 death wolves, and Balder or something like that. I think a Ravager Chieftain as well. But it
Healthy
was,
bird?
No. I think the bird was on maybe 20 boxes.
Okay, birds beat up. Fair enough. All right, cool. Round 3 then. So 3rd round of the day. I think we did 4 rounds. Yeah, we did 4 rounds on that day. So what was the scenario? Do you remember? I don't.
It was Anarchy.
Anarchy. So that's the clusterfuck in the middle and then the circle zones on the outside, yeah?
Yeah.
Lovely. Opponent?
Opponent was Peter Alsen. More commonly known exactly as Flogger.
Why? Have you heard why? Is it referring to the sex toy?
I got no clue.
No, seriously, the only meaning of the word flogger that I know of is a type of like whip, hand whip thing.
That's the only one I know as well. So
Right, marvelous. I hope it's that. I really do, because that's just funny. Like, to be known by an entire community after a sex toy. I mean, to be fair, I mean, the Reavers are known as the dildo cannon guys now, so, you know, why not? Anyway, all right, so you played against Flogger. What was he bringing?
he was bringing Dreamer and King of Nothing. King of Nothing in bump with a bunch of clocks. And Dreamer was like a Cage Rager, Skin and Moans, 4 clocks, a Rattler.
Okay. And what were you expecting to see?
We talked about this before the game, and we got to the conclusion that it would probably be Dreamer against Kruger here.
So he was expecting Kruger as well from your pair. He understood, even though he's not a Circle player, even though he's not been in the Circle chat and listening to all the Kruger chat, he already understood that from your pair he expected to see Kruger.
I think after we talked about it, yes. I told him that, Kruger is my Grimkin drop, so bring your worst.
So he expected your Grimkin drop, right?
Yeah.
Fair expectation.
I didn't put it that simply, but I hinted it quite obviously, I think.
Right, okay. And so that was the game you played in the end?
That was the game we played, yes.
Perfect. All right, so Anarchy, Dreamer versus Balder. Versus Kruger.
Yeah.
Who went first?
He went first. I won the starting role, elected to go second.
I see a theme. This is like the episode I did with Jake about Zal 2 at Sue. It was like, I went second. I went to round 7. I won on scenario, yeah. Okay, so you went second, fine. He runs up with everything, you run up with everything. And did you feat turn 1?
Nope.
Okay.
This was my first game with Kruger into Grimkin. So it was my learning the ropes, I think. I fucked up so much and should probably not have won this game.
Okay.
But somehow I managed it in the end.
All right. So, tell us how.
Yeah.
What were these fuck-ups? What happened?
Yeah, this was before I think I got the instruction from Tomasz on how to use Megalith properly in this matchup. I got the Hunter's Mark on 1 clock and sent Megalith in to bash the shit out of that one. Left it on like 3 boxes, then it stuttered away. I tried to TK it with Megalith, but he had a Cage Rager nearby that I forgot about. Arcane Ward is the TK, and Megalith is looking at sad. Then Cage Rager.
Okay. So sad Meg, yeah.
I then activate a Warden to like trample up and gallows the clock to finish it off. But then he triggers Ruin, and I try with like a mannequin or something to spray it, but didn't manage the 3 boxes on armor 20. So I basically had no impact during my turn there, or on that flank. The other flank, I actually managed to kill a Skin and Moans by trampling a Warden and TK him out of the forest and turn him around for 2 Virds to shoot. He had Mirage, unfortunately for him. So the Virds, managed to kill it.
Oh dear. 1 corpse purgation. That's an unpleasant day for a Skin and Moans. Right. Yeah. Okay. So Megalith is looking a bit naked. The Skin and Moans is a bit naked. And we move on to the next turn. All right. So how much does he punish you on the comeback?
He managed to kill my Warden, who would trample up to finish the clock. He killed it with both clocks, I think. Then a Cage Rager or D-Cage Rager got Enrage from Kariana Rose, and with the Dreamer's Manifest Destiny, managed to kill the Megalith then. So I'm down 2 heavies, and he lost 1. And one of my heavies is on the other flank, where it's not useful. Because on this table as well, there was a big obstruction in the middle. Seems to be a running theme of this on Battle at Lund.
There were quite a lot of buildings flying around.
There was a lot
of
big obstructions, yes.
It seemed to be the terrain that they had available.
Yeah, fantasy players and all that. Or the old fantasy terrain, I guess.
Yep.
Anyhow, I'm down 2 heavies. Have 2 left, one of which is on the wrong flank. But I measure how far up Dreamer is, and she's standing on 0 camp in Artifice of Deviation. because she used what's her nuke? The Abyssal Gate. That's the thing.
Yes.
To place my warden even further forward for the clocks to get to melee. So she's empty and within 11 of my Guardian that I can TK into a pair of shifting stones.
Okay.
So start my turn by TKing into shifting stones, TKing some weird so they can shoot Dreamer if this fails, and then I get stone strength on the Guardian and port him with the shifting stones into melee with Dreamer.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Power 20 with knockdown hurts, apparently.
If you ask her.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it felt really good. Or it was, yeah.
For her, probably a bit less good.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And did Peter think that was did he just consider that to be a big fuck up, or did he say, oh, well, I had to be there because that you were pressuring me and Dreaming needed to be up for Manifest?
I think he thought, or we agreed on it, it was a fuck up. She didn't need to be that far forward. He had missed that I had the shifting stones to do that play with, and yeah.
Right.
It probably won't happen next time, or it didn't happen next time, I can tell you. We played in the team tournament as well. Then I feated in the correct turn, but the dugout objective is a real issue for Kruger.
Anchor.
Yeah, the anchor. It's named dugout, but it gives anchor.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay, so the ability is called anchor, but the objective is called dugout.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
So that on a skin and moans is usually costs a heavy, even if you, or in my experience, it costs a heavy. Anyways.
Right. Okay. Interesting. All right, so that was round 3. So then we move on to the last game of day 1, round 4. What was the scenario and who was the opponent?
The scenario this time was Recon 2, and my opponent was Christian from Norway.
Yep.
Playing Menoth.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Really, really good looking Menoth, I might add.
I thought you meant Christian, and I was like, wow, you're really stressing this. Really, really good looking. Like, that is a sound looking chap. Any ladies listening, go see Christian.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So really good looking Menoth. All right, so good painting.
Yeah.
Ugly player. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Right. Okay. So Zach, fuck it. Right. What was he playing?
He was playing Sarenia and I think Kreos 1 or Sarenia High Reclaimer. I was so overjoyed that there was no Harbinger. I forgot to check the rest of the list.
I've done that. You're just like, he doesn't have Harby. Woo, baby.
Yeah, I think he played Sirenia Vlad 3, didn't he?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so I think he played.
Absolutely.
I think he played that. Sirenia was the same list as Harbinger, but in Fateful Masses, but with Sirenia because he's playing in double Men of Team. So.
Okay. Yeah.
The only reason to do it, like it's just a Harbinger list, but worse. So yeah, okay.
It wasn't really a Harbinger list either. It was like double purifiers and the Avatar Menoth in it.
Hang on, that's not the Harbinger list. What are we on about?
No.
Tomasz?
I think it's just the battle group that is different. There are all the solos and initiates and things like that.
I guess after you have to remove the dwarves, you can just fit the Avatar instead, and yeah. Yeah, there's usually adjudicator in the Harbinger list, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. There was no adjudicator here?
Nope.
Okay. Sirenia without adjudicator.
Yeah. To be honest, I underestimated this list when we put it on the table and the first 2 turns.
So
The Avatar with Inviolable Assault behind a wall, that's some horrible shit to play against. Especially when you have a Colossal that get gazed.
So tell me about tell me what that does. What are the stats on that? What are the abilities on that? What's the effect?
The Avatar, the stats is not that meaningful, but it's good stats. It's like 14-23, I think, behind the wall.
So it's 12-19 base with inviolable plus something?
I think it's 10-19 with a shield and in base, but you have either Sarenia feat, give +2 defense.
Okay.
And the turn that matter, it has +2 defense. But the wall is the rock wall. A good player playing rock wall it's just a pain to play against, especially when you have a Colossal, because your Colossal won't be able to strike whatever is behind that wall.
Yeah, never.
And Avatar has the ability called Gaze of Menoth, where basically every model that he sees has to advance towards him if they start within 8.
Okay.
A Colossal that has to advance towards him but can't strike him in melee is a sad Colossal, I think.
Yeah. So you had to avoid the Eye of Menoth like the plague, basically.
I should have done that, yes.
I can see how this battle report's going to go. Okay, Tell us about the game. What happened?
He runs up, I run up. Yeah, I go second once again because there's a big-ass obstruction covering one of the flags in the zones. So it's basically an 8 by 4 inch, maybe, obstruction.
Oh. Okay.
Maybe 6 by 4 or something like that. But it's a big house where you can have scoring the flag and be quite safe. And there's an issue contesting it, to be honest.
Sure.
So I chose that side. Deploy my shit. I deployed the well way too far on the flank because once again I hadn't checked his list, and between Anastasia Debray and the press gangers that was in it, my well got so lucky that they survived.
Was it max or min press gangers?
Min press gangers.
So min plus Anastasia didn't quite get the job done.
No, I think he got like Champion of the Order of the Wall to charge as well, but left it at like 3 boxes.
Right.
Really
just enough to boost on all those 3 things. Did you kill it yourself with boosting?
No.
Oh, no balls.
I actually protected it as well as I could by firing on one of the press gangers, killing 3 of them and Anastasia, just to hand out corpses to Death Wolves and Lord of the Feast and stuff that need corpses.
Right.
Ravagers in this case.
And weren't you worried that the clipping AoE will kill the well?
Yeah, you could blast damage your own well.
Yeah, you can. No, I didn't think about that actually.
Oh no, solid ground, right?
Oh yeah, that's the trick. That's why I never think about that.
Yeah. I thought you cheated him.
Yeah, for a second there I thought so as well. Yeah.
And you were about to be caught out live on microphone. Anyway, so he ambushes, smacks the well, doesn't quite kill it. You clock it back, corpses everywhere, and.
The other thing he did, my first turn was just moving up. His second turn was doing that and running his shit forward, basically. He managed to contest with a monk and like 1 initiate, I think. They lined up after the building. The monk in the front, initiate on a row.
Okay. That's a pain in the ass to shift.
Contesting. Yeah, but luckily I had Getrix on that flank, so I can warp Murderers and kill them. But with Serenia feat, they get to do a 3-inch advance, so I had to kill all the initiates to be able to clear the contester. Luckily, dice were with me, and I managed to do that.
What defense does that monk get up to on Serenia feat? Is it 20? 20? Just 20?
Yeah. There's no awe here.
Oh, yeah, of course. Like, the feat basically is just what Harby has all the time. Yeah, sorry, forgot. Harby's just better, yeah.
Yet still, Gatorix should hit him on average dice with Murderous and Boost.
Yeah, I Murderous and boosted to get that monk so that he didn't dodge away.
Yeah, makes sense.
My biggest bane in this game, not counting the Avatar, was probably the Covenant of Menoth, the book. Because it advanced up on the other side of this building, catching Balder, my Blacklad, Getorix, the pot, in its no spell aura.
Am I missing something? You can still cast Anima, can't you?
No, I think Anima is a spell, or Anima is a spell.
Yep.
Yeah, it definitely is. But
all the spells.
Oh, so it doesn't just say non-anima spells; it just says everything. Right.
Every spell.
Okay.
Bestial is non-animus.
Yeah.
It's Bestial I was thinking of. Right. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Carry on.
So yeah. That's what I got the Vengeance trigger on the Ravager, so got to strike it once with a Ravager attack on Vengeance that hit, so it's on 4 boxes. The well feeds my 2 Ravagers that can get to this Vasa or the Covenant with more corpses. So I think I have 4 attacks on 5s and 2 attacks on 7s to hit and then do damage on it, but I somehow managed to leave it on 2 boxes. So my whole army my Ravagers, Brid and Call, the bird is Gazed. My whole army is also can't cast spells. I now know how it's like to play against Chromic 1. But somehow I managed to sort out the turn anyways. I was trying to get Feast in on that Covenant, but forgot to give him magical weapons, so couldn't shoot the Avatar to place like near the Covenant, because it stood next to the Avatar.
Right. You couldn't just shoot the book?
Nope. Or I could, but I got greedy and wanted to kill some Initiates and the other monk as well, which I managed to fail somehow.
Okay. So what's that, a boosted 12?
I think Lord of the Feast was in the back arc and had Divine Inspiration.
So boosted 10 DI,
Boosted
right?
10 Divine Inspiration, yeah.
Hang on, because he wasn't. Was he on? Was that a feat turn? Was he on 20 that turn, or was he on 18?
He was on 20. Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, it happens. Fair enough.
Yep.
And so, how did the Eye of Menoth die in the end?
It never died. Like that turn, I was so focused on killing the Covenant, I didn't realize how much of the other stuff I actually managed to kill. I got so fucking tilted this game, to be honest. I usually don't get tilted while I play, but this I don't know. This one was really tilting. It started with me forget or not noticing his ambush, so I deployed my well to just die, which I didn't, but it felt like. And then the Covenant moved up, and the Gaze, I just felt so outplayed, to be honest. So then it ended up with me throwing my army against him and hopefully getting enough stuff killed.
Right.
Which happened. It went really well, to be honest. Not counting the Covenant bit.
So it was the attrition that brought it for you in the end?
Yeah, I managed to kill, I think, everything that's not counting Hand of Silence. I think 2 or 1 Initiate was alive, and 1 dismounted Paladin Shield Wall. No,
the Champion of the Order of the Wall.
That one, yeah. Horsey Boy.
And what was he doing with Hand of Silence for that game?
Hand of Silence, on the feat turn, he moved up Sirenia so that she was too close to the objective, and so she was in danger of getting feasted. Feast could shoot the objective, get to Sirenia. Mm-hmm. So he put the Hand of Silence in the way of that. I don't know if I made or to block landing spot, mostly.
Okay.
I could have gotten to Hand of Silence with Feast, but no, I didn't feel it. I felt like I needed it in my other places, or do other attrition work. So I don't know if I made a face when he placed Sirenia where he did, because he was really quick on like, oh, I should put Hand of Silence here, or if it was him doing it on purpose, or already had planned for it.
Right, could have been a bait, could have been I want you to try and kill Hand of Silence, maybe you do, maybe you don't, and then I've got rid of Feast, it could be that, but it could just have been he moves and then he goes, oh god, the objective's there, and,
it could have been either.
Yeah, fair enough.
The game, as I said, I swung the attrition better than I ever thought I would, and managed to score 2 points and feat. I just gave up on killing the Covenant, and I think that was the right decision to do.
And during your feat, he just couldn't do much back, and then the attrition just continued to go in your favor.
I got quite a lot of work done despite the feat, since I couldn't put up a forest to protect Getorix. He got a Purifier on him and a Sanctifier with the Choir buff and what's her positive charge is the spell. They managed to kill Getorix. He also put positive charge on the Avatar. Hand of Silence managed to clear out some Ravagers so that Avatar could get to the bird. Of course, he rolls 4 focus now, this turn.
Mm-hmm.
So the bird nearly goes down. I think it got saved by me having the stone skin on him.
Fair enough. Wow.
I think
and so the end?
On like 8
what
boxes.
Turn was it?
That was turn 3. When
and when did the game end? Like, when did you reach the what turn did it finish?
It ended the turn after, in turn 4.
Oh wow! So it was quite a quick deterioration.
Quite a quick game. I was really down on clock as well from just tilting the shit out of everything, I think. So I was kind of losing, but won in the end thanks to Scenario being my friend. in
So,
turn
Scenario
for
being
their
your friend. And what do you think was his largest mistake?
not putting the avatar or any jacks in the zone. I think he can have shifted his play a little bit to the left and just shut down that in one zone, and then he would have won.
Wow. Okay. So, if you were in a winning position, just make sure you've locked down the zones.
Yep.
Okay. Fair enough. So that was the end of round 4.
Yeah.
Yep. And the end of day 1. So we then all went home, and we were staying, me, Robin, Tomáš, and also Daniel. I'm going to try it. Bergström. Is that right?
Yeah, sounds about
Bergström?
right.
Oh.
Bergström.
Damn it. So he was also staying with us. So we went back and were chatting at home. And, well, you can tell the story. So what was he saying?
Oh yeah, the story. I think when we were going to bed, like, we don't have to hurry so much tomorrow. Nobody except Tomáš has something to play for, anyways.
Yeah, that was pretty much what he said, wasn't it? It was like, yeah, no one else has anything to play for. and Robin's just like, whoa, hang on. I'm undefeated over here. He's like, yeah, but like, come on. The burn was real. And now it's come back to bite him in the ass.
Yep.
Epic fail.
So a big fuck you to round 4 Daniel predictions, ladies and gents. That was, I enjoyed that quite a bit. Okay, so then we had the team tournament on Saturday, which again, hopefully we'll speak about in the future. And then we reach the invitationals. So there was the cut to the top 8, which was both of yourselves. And it was Lars, the Crucible Guard.
Yes.
Oscar Sibek playing Harbinger. Hugo Nordland, my opponent from round 1, playing Mercenaries.
Yeah.
And the other player was...
You mean Patrick playing Grimkins?
Of course, I meant the guy that was playing against Hugo.
Arvid Nordland, his brother.
Really? Was that his brother?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't recognize him.
Both really good players in our WTC team. So
I know of the guy. I just didn't recognize him. Right. Okay. So that was his brother. Cool. And of course, Pat playing Grimkin. So
and I think we're forgetting about Olov.
Was Olov in the top 8?
Yeah, he made the cut as well.
I am so sorry, Olov, if you're listening. That is my bad. So Olov was there with his Vlad 3 and Sorsha 1.
Unfortunately.
Which we'll come on to. So round 5 then. Who did you pull from that group of 8?
I pulled Hugo.
All right. So you doesn't matter. In British, to pull means to kiss.
What?
So, I was just fucking with you, but sorry, that wasn't very fair. So you got Hugo, right? Very good.
Yeah.
And you got vengeance for me, so thanks very much. How did that go down? What was the scenario in round 5?
We played King of the Hill again.
Okay. And which list did he pick? Did he play his Osram or his Fiona?
No, this time I think the terrain was more favorable for Fiona. She played Fiona.
With a blockader and what else?
1 Toro, and then there's a bunch of steelheads.
All right, so Halberdiers all over the place.
1 min unit of cab. What's the... Not Dragoon, but Horse Solo called? The steelhead dude gives tactician to everybody.
Good question, no idea.
Stannis, I think, right? Stannis?
Sounds right.
And then there's like double cannons or 1 cannon and Alexia 2.
Yeah. Okay. So, did you go second again?
I did, yes.
Right. I see a pattern here, seriously. Like, people winning tournaments and one listing and just going second all day. Right, okay. So
I wanted to say that in this tournament, I felt like starting role was actually role who goes second. But also it's worth mentioning that the terrain at Battle at Lund was really impactful. Like there were some big buildings and abstractions, like 8 inches wide, something like this. So having this terrain, it's no surprise that people wanted to go second and choose a side.
To say that I was a little bit upset about the amount of 3D terrain would be an understatement.
But I think it's good practice for WTC because they have big terrain pieces as well. It's like good practice, anyways.
Yep.
From that point of view, it was fantastic. Just my God, why did it have to be 3D?
Yeah, okay, that's the drawback. I can agree on that.
All right. So, how did it go?
I think the only time during this tournament, I turned 1 feet at this time. There was a big forest in the middle that Baldur could like feet charge forward, get ported, and he had run basically everything forward. So I caught everything in the feet, making sure he can't move around a lot.
Okay.
So on King of the Hill, I think turn 1 feet is really legit. A lot of times going second.
So what you did was feet and move into shifting stones, or you teleported to the mid forest?
Yeah, I feet and charge into the shifting stones.
Because you could just put a forest on yourself, right, and teleport to the middle.
He could, yes.
So obvious question: why didn't you do that?
I didn't want to stand in the forest because then I think I would have gotten assassinated. Like the blockader can walk up and spray. You have Fiona with her soulfire. I think that would have been kind of dangerous.
Okay, so you weren't trying to threaten the following turn kind of Baldur port necessarily?
No.
Okay.
The following turn, I went for I want to score 5 points on the scenario. Bottom of 2. That was my goal.
Okay. And how did that work out?
Nearly made it. Not quite. But I put the bird on one side, get the Rix and Deathful from the other side. To be able to clear out each of the zones. The bird has no problem like pulsing, clearing out the whole zone of steelheads. The other side was a bit more troublesome because I hadn't put the Deathwolf far enough forward, so I couldn't get to the edge of the zone. So I had Baldur doing earth spikes on one of the steelheads that I couldn't get to.
Okay.
Sadly, he missed that one on I think it's a boosted 7 to hit, and I made a boosted 6 or something.
Okay. And would that have got you the 5?
No. I didn't know how Rot's Mercy work. Apparently you can... It's not self-sacrifice that I thought it was. You can sacrifice anybody in the units with Rot's Mercy. And there was 2 models in the middle zone with Rot's Mercy on them.
Okay.
I think I could have made the play by using Feast to kill both of them, charging one of them and porting to the other with the bird. Then there was a Toro and the powerlifter dude.
The crane dude.
Crane dude, exactly.
Okay.
Removing the Toro might have been troublesome. There was a few Ravager charges and such that could have... I would have needed to roll really well under Fiona feet, so it would probably not have worked out as well. Or at all.
So you scored 4 in the end, or 3?
I did not. After missing that Earth Spikes play, I gave up on that zone because I wanted Getrix to threaten the blockader once more.
Okay.
I put out like Baldur's Forest beside the forest to have him and Cole stand behind it.
Yep.
Just threaten it.
And so how many did you score?
I scored only 1 that turn.
Wow, you went for 5, got 1.
But
that can't feel good.
No, I aborted the play as soon as I missed the Earth Spikes there.
Okay.
So I did try to clear the middle zone. Then I got to know how Rot's Mercy work, and then no, this is not working out. But I sent some Ravagers and Feast and stuff in anyways. And not Feast, but Ravagers. To kill as many steelheads as they could. And slowing down where the Toro could go and such. But that was kind of a mistake because I only sent 1 Ravager on the Toro. And Befuddle is a really nasty spell when you had countercharge.
Oh, yeah.
In his turn, in return, he Befuddled that Ravager. So it moves towards the zone with the bird. So that he can countercharge the Ravager, get a charge lane on my bird with the Toro. Luckily, he missed 2 or 3 attacks on the bird. So Stannis could not go in and kill it, because he had Stannis going in on it as well.
Uh-huh.
So bird gets to survive there. And
generally speaking, average dice, bird dies there? Or were those misses quite reasonable?
He needs 6s to hit the bird, so he should probably miss 1 with the Toro, and then the bird should survive on like a few boxes. Probably.
And then Stannis should finish it.
Oh no, he got the minus armor buff or debuff on the bird as well, so I think it would have gone down, or should have gone down. I haven't done the math on it. But a full tank Toro plus Stannis. And now Stannis didn't even go for the bird since it had so much left. He went for the objective instead.
Okay.
Didn't manage to kill it. Dice of 4 weapon master, so probably should not kill it either.
Do you think he should have just gone for the bird and hoped for a monster spike?
Like no, I think he made the right play and go for the objective.
Okay.
Since I could threaten scoring, since I made the score or went for the 5 scenario play, I could go for 4 scenario play next turn because he was for sure not scoring any other point.
Okay, so he was basically doing exactly what we just said he should do from that last game, which is make sure you cover scenario.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, so he did it. Fair enough. And how did what did you get on the comeback? He scores 0, I presume?
Yeah. Yep. On the comeback, he had just moved about the blockader, not into the zone, just spraying the Ravagers that committed to the Rot's Mercy dudes. I think I had Call there in front there, so spraying Brid and Call as well. And then I think I'm missing a turn here somewhere, but in the end, he managed to spray the Ravagers. The Ravage Chieftain died from a cannon then. Alexia makes a thrall. He caught the Ravage Chieftain in the blockader spray. I think 2 times or something, and he managed to tough.
Okay.
So he's still alive, but on fire and 4 boxes. Hugo wanted to make sure he dies. So Alexia doodles up and makes a thrall that runs towards him to make sure the theme bonus in Solstice of Fortune is mark the target on all solos. So to get mark the target on my chieftain or the cannon, then to shoot him. I did absolutely not see that play coming. So got to experience something new. That's great.
That's pretty cute. Like Alexia 2 just creates a solo out of nowhere that you haven't been able to possibly account for, and then you get the targeted down. That's pretty cute. I like that.
Yeah. And thus managed to kill my chieftain with the cannon.
Nice play. Nice play.
Yeah. I learned something. It cost me a bit though, but I guess.
And how did the game end? How did it come to a conclusion?
Game ended on scenario. Me scoring. And now when it's no Fiona feat, and I know how Wrath Mercy works, and I had the Death Wolves in the zone to clear out any steelheads that come by this time around.
So was it an attrition thing, like you just able to kill everything and then he couldn't stop you from scoring and he couldn't contest, or was it really a scenario play that you pushed things out and made a positional play?
Yeah, no, it was more a scenario play. With the Baldur feat limiting what could get too close to the zones, and next turn killing what could get into the zones, like after my feat turn. Obviously, he would have a turn in between, but Steel has only run so far. Not all of them can get in.
All right, nice. So round 5 against Hugo goes to you on scenario.
On scenario.
Round 6 then, so into the semi-finals. Who are the 4 players still left in?
It was me, Olav, Oscar Seebeck, and Lars.
Okay. And which one did you draw?
I got paired into Olav again for the second time this master.
Ah, lovely. The old double.
Yep.
So you'd had a chance to sleep on this, right? You'd sort of thought about that game with Olaf and probably sort of thought about what you could have done differently. And I'm almost certain that since he lost, he's done the same. In fact, I remember the previous year, like I beat him in the Masters, and then he, slept on it, came back in the Invitational and kicked my ass up and down. So,
yeah, that's true. It happened to me this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we played in the team tournament, the same matchup as we did in the Invitational. I took him out in the team tournament, and then the next day he took me out in the Invitational. He totally kicked my ass.
So what we've learned is playing against Olaf once is fine. Twice, not so much. Right. All right. But you played against him a second time and won again. So tell us, was it the exact same matchup? Did you even bother talking about the pairing?
Yeah, the same matchup. I talked it through after our last game and come to the conclusion it should probably be this.
All right.
We actually got to play on pretty much the same table as well. So there was one side that was totally fucked by 4 blocking things,
All right.
2 obstructions and 2 liners. Sadly,
which
this
scenario?
time it was
Invasion.
Invasion, yeah, the one I disliked the most in the new scenario pack or the
Fair
scenario
enough.
pack. So the slow scenario, which isn't great with Baldur, but it's obviously playable.
Sure. So how did it go differently from the previous time?
Previous time, no, he had his side open, so there was no blocking in the Judicator or anything like that. And I think I managed to position quite well around the scenario pieces. I never had any issue with the bird being blocked in or Getrix being blocked in or anything being blocked in, for that matter.
All right, but this time he had his Judicator free, so how did that impact the matchup?
This time you probably didn't put Gallows Grove in range of Fenris, so...
Yeah, that was one big improvement, yes.
Yeah, he doesn't block his Judicator, you don't sacrifice 4 of your best pieces. Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Good trade. No, I think since he deployed first, I put my Ravagers, I put basically everything on the side that the Judicator was not, to try to force one of the circles. He had done pretty much the same, except for his Judicator being the leftmost piece, except for like a Paladin and Vilmon.
All right, so he was just touching the rectangle zone with the Judicator, was he?
How do you mean touching the?
Did he get into the rectangle zone, into that central zone with the Judicator?
Not really. There was one wall just in front of his rectangular zone, so he had to choose one side.
Did you go second again by any chance?
No, I did not.
You went first, and
won the
chose that side
and chose the good side this time around.
Okay.
You said he deployed first.
Oh yeah, that's true. I'm messing this up. Apparently I deployed first, and yeah, there was a big forest on the one side for him, so I guess he didn't want the Judicator behind that. He wanted more free to charge and free to see things. I don't really know, to be honest.
Fair enough, right? We'll save you from this misery. How did the game play out? So you run in, he's sort of towing one zone. You've said that you've committed really heavily to one side. He's gone to the other. We're on a very dead scenario. So how are you trying to bring this game back? Well, not bring it back, but how are you trying to bring it to a win?
This time I feed top of 2. Which in turn makes him back off, because I position my Ravagers really offensively, just without charge range or just so I have charge range to more than the zone. Like it's the zone plus 2 inches is my charge range.
Okay.
That's how I position. Getrix position so he, Lord of the Feast, and Breed and Call can take the rectangular zone and anything that comes in it. And on the other side, there's the Judicator, there is one Lord of the Wall and Vilmon. Judicator doesn't really want to go into the zone because then he would get a stone-skinned bird in the face and probably a feast or something else. I could probably have gotten called there as well on how I position behind my forest. So the Judicator was kind of scared of going into the zone. So he only contested with like a Order of the Wall Paladin in the edge, which my Burden could shoot and kill. He had a shield guard to Wilmon, but I could still take out the Paladin.
Even dismounting? Like, I mean, you take one shot, you shield guards it, you reload, you might kill it, and then dismount it, and then you reload again, and like that's tricky.
Yeah.
You just rolled it?
I think I just dismounted him this turn. Yeah, exactly. I dismounted him. I just dismount him this turn.
Okay.
And if I'm making the math on who goes first and all that. So it's my top of 2 then when I dismount him with the bird.
Right. Okay.
Ravage position. Yeah. So I feed my top of 2, and then he positions really defensively. He contests with Yuri in one zone. The other is with the dismounted paladin. Then
Okay.
that's more reasonable to kill for a bird.
Yeah, that's a lot more reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah. So I send like 3 Ravagers on Yuri to clear that zone and score that. I send Cole into the objective, which feels really bad, but it was the only model that could reasonably do it. Didn't want to sacrifice Getrix to that. And then the Death Wolves get to score the other circular zone. So I get to score 4-0.
Whoa,
My
on
top
invasion.
of 3.
Ouch. Yeah. Okay.
Which makes he has to play really carefully here to not lose on scenario, because he won't be able to score back any points.
I would say that's the last thing he needs to do. He needs to play incredibly uncarefully and charge everything into every zone.
Yes, carefully so that I don't score anything. Was my point here. So basically,
I got it.
Play really recklessly and throw your shit at my models and hope they die.
Yeah, that's what I would have done.
He did keep in the game for like 3 more turns and managed to make sure that I didn't score anything.
Wow. All right. Not bad.
I don't know. By the 3rd turn, I get the bird going into Adjudicator with Stone Skin. Don't kill it. Then his turn, Adjudicator he had position blood far on one side, so it was out of control for 2 turns, Adjudicator. So he didn't get the most work done. He had
was
2
that just
vassals.
a massive cock-up, or did just Vlad 3 need to be out that side?
I think a bit of both. I think one of the turns he actually probably should have been out, or had kept the Adjudicator closer. But it was 1 turn too many, I think.
Okay.
Vlad is quite mobile himself with reposition and all that as well, so it should probably have been doable, not having it outside of control at all.
Okay. And so when he was outside of control, did he manage to kill the bird?
No. He was missing that 1 focus, I think. Because he had 2 vassals that could fuel it, like with Empower. And then he rolled really poorly with Fenris also going in on the bird. I think the Adjudicator leaves the bird on like 8 boxes or 5 boxes. Then Fenris goes in and does like 3 boxes. So bird is on 3 boxes.
Ouch.
Yeah. It's quite unfortunate for him, because that in turn makes sure that I can kill the Adjudicator.
Did you get Fenris as well?
I did get Fenris as well. I actually asked him when I went to 5 there if I could complete the turn, and I managed to score another 3 points that turn. So I think even if the bird died, it would have been game over on the other side.
Oh, okay. Right. So in the end, you win on something like 8-0 on scenario.
7-0.
7. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 4 and then 3. Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, I think you're the first one to go against Olaf twice and survive. So bravo. So that was round 6.
6. Yeah.
And the other semi-final was Lars against Oscar.
Yes.
Yeah, and we know that Lars from Norway, playing Crucible Guard, was the guy that won that one and led us to the finals. But before that, have we got time for a quick back rep from Tomasz? Or
yeah, I can do it. So tell me, guys, which one do you like to hear more?
I like the Kruger one.
Kruger. All right. So you won the tournament. So you
Robin doesn't care about who it was, what scenario. He just wants to hear about Kruger.
Yeah. All right. So I'm playing my finals, which is me against Pat.
Which round was this?
It's round 6.
Okay.
So we already got knocked down round 1 of Invitational. So we get to play each other. And it's a table, it's Invasion. And it's a table with big building in the middle, but more on one side. And on the same side, there's very wide, but very... or maybe long, but not very wide forest. So Ben approached the table, wanted to see our game, and it was after we chose our lists. It's the Dreamer versus Kruger 2. And Ben asks Patrick again about his choice, and he said that he would probably drop Aldwych, but because of the the scenario and the terrain, he decided on the Dreamer. So the first thing was I've asked Patrick about the terrain because I felt that the terrain favors me, but he felt that the terrain favors him. So we were about to find out. So I won the roll-off, and normally what I would do, I would walk around the table to see it from both players' perspectives. But here I clearly saw that one side is better than the other, mostly because of the building placement and the forest on the left.
What was the central terrain?
It was the building, but it was placed in a slight angle and more towards one side, the side I've chosen. So it was covering my objective, and I could put a model behind it that would contest the zone, and it would be really, really hard to reach it.
Okay.
So on my right-hand side, there was small obstruction and a trench. So those didn't matter much because they were far away from the engagement. And on this side, I would have the well, so cover doesn't matter. And I would have the well on this side because on the other, as I described, there was a very long but very thin forest towards my side, right before the zone. And on Patrick's side, there was a wall, but it wasn't in the zone, it was right before it. So also didn't matter that much.
Right.
So we start the game. Patrick chooses Ruin, Sacrifice, and of course, All Fall Down. And objective is Dugout. I chose Eyeless Sight. He runs forward, and then I start my turn by calling the judge. There are two models base to base, one is Clockatrice. I wanted to Gallows the Clockatrice forward. I teleport to Gallows Grove. We found an angle, and I cast Gallows. So Patrick opted not to ruin it because I could cast another one. And I was really fortunate because I rolled a 6 and dragged the Clockatrice really close towards my army.
What did you need? Like, had you worked it out? What did you need to get onto him with something?
So I didn't spend much time measuring how much I need. I knew that I need at least a 2, so I can TK him from the same grove.
Okay.
But the longer the distance I get, the better.
Of course. Like 6 is great, but...
Yeah, so I needed at least a 2, and if I fail, I need another Gallows, which won't be boosted, so that becomes risky. Anyway, because I've practiced this matchup before, and because the new requisition options allow Kruger list for more possibilities, basically, I figured this new Shifting Stone formation, which is kind of an X formation that allows me to teleport each piece from my deployment zone and still be quite far up in AD, so they can be useful next turn.
Sure, okay.
Anyway, I got my 6. I've teleported a bunch of stuff. I pew Clockatrice. I was really lucky with my damage rolls, but not really with the columns. So I think it started a few times. And then it came down to Clockatrice behind the building. And I had a Megalith left to activate. I needed a boosted 10 to hit it, and then a boosted 13 to kill it. I got it. If I didn't, there would be a Clockatrice close to my army behind the building. But also I had the Gallows Grove behind this building in this unreachable spot I've described previously. So it would not be able to...
Auto repair?
Yeah, auto repair. So it would have a single aspect, so it would probably run backwards and wait for a sacrifice or something. So I killed Clockatrice bottom of 1, which is good, but at the same time it took quite a bit of time, so I needed to speed up my game and speed my decision making. So I was a bit sloppy. I ran 2 heavies towards Patrick's army, and there was a Cage Rager with Mirage. So Patrick starts his turn by moving the Cage Rager towards the Guardian within 8. Then he casts Abyssal Gate. He cracks my armor. He places me towards 2 Clockatrices, and then he casts Manifest Destiny and move the Dreamer backwards, so she's safe camping 0. Then Cariana Rose casts Enrage on one of the Clockatrice, and he can put 2 Clockatrices onto my Guardian. So the second Clockatrice, I think, kills the Guardian to a box with the last attack. Yeah, that was close. And the rest of the army positions. So it's my turn again, and I know it's going to be my 5th turn. I want to do some attrition work. I want to score some points and protect my army with the 5th. So I measure some things out, and unfortunately Megalith is like an inch outside of position. I know that I want to kill at least 1 heavy. I don't want to trigger unnecessary sacrifice, and I want to score 2 CPs. So I use Megalith. I hide him behind the building where I make sure he's going to be safe after defeat, and I use his animi to slow the heavies down and to lower the defense of one of the clockatrices that came in to kill a guardian.
Right.
Then I send in a warden. Warden kills the clockatrice and knocks down the other.
Okay.
And I think I TK'd warden back to maybe be safe. Then I shift my army towards the left side, so I leave my well on the right side alone. And I kill a gremlin swarm there. And I leave Gorehound on one box, unfortunately. So the Gorehound is going to be healed by the sacrifice because I had no more attacks to put on him. Then in the right zone, I have mannequins that will kill Gremlin Swarm. And there's also a Crabbit I left in a few boxes, but I didn't care much about the Crabbit because I knew that I will be able to push the Crabbit from the zone and score it. So I finish my turn by fitting with Kruger, pushing some heavies out. They didn't move much because of Anchor on Skin and Bones and because they were clamped together. But at least it protects most of my army, except I think the Warden I send in, but I'm not sure. Anyway, it pushes the Crabbit away of the zone, so I scored 2 CPs, and I'm in quite a good position to score the left zone each turn. And I don't worry about the right zone because Heavies needs to worry about all my stuff in the left. So it is Patrick's turn again. And in my left zone, during my turn, I send in a Waldward to kill a Gremlin Swarm. But because of the stealth, I needed this Waldward quite far. And I positioned Waldward outside of Clockatrice's threat range. But it was within the Gorehound that unfortunately survived in one box. So what Patrick did was heal the Gorehound's aspects back, cast Manifest Destiny. Gorehound goes in on the Waldward, drags the Waldward towards Clockatrice, and then Clockatrice goes in and finish the Waldward. I don't remember if the pumpkin appeared or not. Anyway, my left zone is contested. So on the right zone, I think the Crabbit moved back to the zone to contest it, and then Patrick sends a Clockatrice onto my well, but the well survives on quite a lot, like 10 or something boxes. And in the middle, Patrick moves his heavies outside of my ranges, but quite aggressively setting up to kill the objective next turn because I scored already 2 CPs and Patrick wasn't able to score any this turn because of the feat and because of this hard to reach spot behind the building where Gallows Grove was. So then in my turn, I killed the Clockatrice that went to kill the Waldward in my left zone. I think I've left the mid-rectangular with my heavies because there were quite a lot of Grimkin heavies there pushing towards my objective. So I just left contesting Gallows Grove behind the building and shifted more towards left. I think I didn't manage to clear the right zone, I don't think, because the Clockatrice that went in on the well was hanging out there. So then in Patrick's turn, he kills the objective with the Skin and Bones. He kills the Gallows Grove. He puts a death knell to block my way into the rectangular zone, so I couldn't contest it without killing the death knell first, and it would block the objective. And in the well side, Clockatrice is doing some work there, I think, chasing the Sentry Stone and doing some more damage into the well. I think CPs at this point are 4-2 or 5-2. Patrick killed the objective and scored the mid zone, but I'm not sure if this was the turn he wasn't able to contest my left zone because of double undergrowth from Megalith and Kruger. Phantasms couldn't just reach it without the Pathfinder. So I think at this point I had 2 heavies left and Waldward and a lot of support. Patrick had 3 heavies and the Death Knell. So I sent in the Warden, I destroyed the Death Knell. Then I sent Megalith in. I killed the Skin and Bones that killed my objective. and I've tried to TK the Cage Rager, but I think it got the 3 corpses from the Death Knell, so he just Arcane Vortex it. So now Megalith is in range of the Cage Rager. I move Kruger and cast Undergrowth to make it difficult to reach the Megalith. And then on the right zone, I'm low on time, so I just do some work with mannequins and pass the clock. I scored another CP, and because I was low on clock and I was sloppy with the Sentry Stone, I left Sentry Stone in a front arc of Clockatrice. So Patrick starts his turn, he sends a Clockatrice into the Sentry Stone, kills it, clearing the right zone. Then Dreamer moves and casts Manifest Destiny. And moves to the right zone so she can score it. And then Cage Rager charges the Megalith, but because of the distance, because of the undergrowth, he couldn't get past the building, so I got the defense bonus from the building. And I think Cage Rager missed 2 of his attacks and left Megalith on like 9 boxes or something like this. That was really unfortunate. Unfortunate because he healed from the Theme Force, then he healed from his auto repair, he healed from Stone Shapers. I think one Stone Shaper, the other one gave him +2 strength. Then Shifting Stone healed him, so he was like on half his boxes.
Okay. How much does Megalith heal? Like with Stone Shapers and his auto heal and all that stuff, how much does he like on average heal in a turn?
I would say it would be something around 9 on average.
9 a turn.
Yeah, or more. Let's see, it's D3 +1 from his auto repair and the Theme Force, so it's 3. Then 2 Stone Shapers would be 7, and then D3 from Shifting Stones, so it's 12 boxes a turn on average.
Wow.
Yeah, so Megalith was like on 20 boxes or something like this. Killed the Cage Rager. I think after this turn Patrick concedes because the Clockatrice is not going to kill Megalith, and I left enough time to finish the game. I was really low on clock, but it was like 3 minutes or something, so I could still close the game out. And I should probably stress this more, that I was abusing Undergrowth this game. So it was important because Phantasms most of the time couldn't reach my zone because of it.
They don't have Pathfinder?
They do not have Pathfinder, no. So between Megalith casting Undergrowth, Kruger casting Undergrowth, Terrain and Models in a way, it was really hard to reach my zone with Phantasms. And we were playing a scenario that's very slow and plays into Brick's favor. But in this case, because it was just really hard to reach my zone, it mitigated the advantages the scenario gave to Grimkins. I was up on scenario the whole game, and they couldn't just easily catch up on points. So normally how it works, I would be up on a scenario early game, and because attrition would swing into Grimkin's favor, they would catch up on points late game and win on tiebreakers. But in this case, they couldn't catch up on points. I was just constantly up, and then when Megalith survived, they were actually down on attrition. So there was just no way for Grimkins to win the game anymore.
Right. You mentioned that before the game, you both felt the terrain was favoured.
Yeah.
And I presume that you had a chat about this after the game. So how did that second discussion go?
I think we actually didn't discuss the terrain afterwards.
Oh, okay. So he didn't, he just agreed with you, oh, actually, that wasn't great for me, or...
No, we just didn't.
Oh, you just didn't talk about it at all? Right, okay, that would be my first thought after the game, haha!
No, I think we were just discussing what we could have done differently, and most of the time I was just sharing my excitement about this matchup and about Kruger 2 post-Oblivion, because I've played this matchup before the Oblivion, but after the Clockatrice, and I remember this game was quite stupid. I think I've missed Cage Rager with Vault Guardian 4 times in a row, and I conceded. So I just felt like it's not really a good matchup, and I shelved it and didn't go back to Kruger. And then I've tried it again post-Oblivion, and my mindset was, I remembered missing those 4 attacks with the Vault Guardian, so I wanted to mitigate bad dice as much as possible. I think back then I had a Puppet Master in the list, but even though I needed 3 or 4s, I would boost or I would use Undergrowth to mitigate bad dice influence. And it turned out to be quite a bit difficult and maybe technical, but really exciting to play matchup and quite good, I would say.
Right. And Robin, do you want to jump into the finals, or I mean, you were the one that wanted to hear about Kruger. Was there anything you wanted to ask or say about that game?
No, I think I learned quite a lot just to listen to that.
You got what you wanted. All right, yep. Perfect. Tomasz, anything else you wanted to say about that game, or are we clear?
Maybe just that I really enjoyed that game and was happy to play Patrick again, even though I was happy that that he lost round 1 because I lost round 1 and I really wanted to play him. I wouldn't have the chance otherwise. So
fortune and fate put you together once again.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It's like if we hadn't got to see the Tomasz versus Pat game at the tournament, it would have just felt wrong. We've all come to expect it. Super. So, Robin, you come into the finals against Lars, and you've got Balder versus McKay. So, who won the starting role?
So, Lars won the starting role and elected to go first, I think.
Okay.
I'm sure he went first, at least.
And that sounds a little bit odd on bunkers, but I mean, did he have maybe he had his reasons. How did that work out for him?
Yeah, like he got pressure with Vulcan on the one side, and he could run up the Tauros, mobility and all that. He got quite far. The mistake I think he did turn 1 was respecting my Burden Lord of Feast threat range. I think he just should run everything up, except for McKay, like keeping her a bit safe. But on like 5 or 4 camp, she should be safe anyways. But I think
just those 2 models, yeah.
Yeah, maxing his threat range turn 1 should be the play for him. Since he didn't have experience in the matchup, I understand that he did not.
And in the finals as well, nobody wants to lose the finals by just running up and getting murdered turn 1.
Exactly, there's some pressure in that. But next time, I think that's the play to do for him.
Fair enough.
And in my turn 1B, then I get to shoot one Toro. I get to shoot with the bird. Move up, run all my Ravagers forward, basically making sure the bird is outside of threat range of that Toro. Since it's 12 inches, it's no problem. He threatened just into my zone, but keeping the value models out. I tried to block off his Vulcan as well with a forest. I failed to do so because I placed Getrix like an ass close to my well. So Vulcan could, in his turn 2, move up, shoot Getrix. Then a Toro could charge on my Well of Orbrus and get into
melee
with Getrix.
So those plebs don't repeat your mistakes. What did you do specifically wrong with Getrix that allowed his Vulcan to shoot you with the forest blocking?
I was aware that he could go sideways and shoot the Getrix with Vulcan, but I thought before I trampled Getrix that I had put Cole far enough so that he could shield guard the no healing shot. Then he had to shoot his 2 sprays, and then reload for another no healing shot, so that Getrix would survive with no problem. Did not account for this Toro being in charge range of my well from the start of my turn. I noticed this a bit too late when I already had placed Getrix there.
Okay, and how did that affect that?
What specifically do you mean now?
So Toro charging a well doesn't really affect Cowl being in range of Getrix.
No.
So how did that change that situation of the Vulcan having to shoot, spray, reload? How was that affected by a well being in Toro range?
Yeah. I had fucked up my placement with Cole, so he didn't need to reload to get the negative or the no healing. So he could just shoot.
And that wasn't related to the Toro well thing?
No, not really.
Right, okay.
He shot both Cole and Getrix. I, of course, have solid ground, so no blast damage on Cole. But didn't feel the need to shield guard it since it would go on Getrix anyways from the first shot.
Yeah. The anti-healing, you mean? Yeah,
anti-healing,
okay.
Yes. That was
so Getrix gets lit up and survives or not?
He does survive. McKay moves up and flares him even for the Toro to be able not hitting on 8s, hitting on 6s instead. Managed to get him down to 1 box, I think. But Getterix standing in no healing is a sad Getterix. So he couldn't do much back. Really. He got to strike the Toro twice, which in the end, with the help of Bridget and Cole, managed to kill the Toro. So he... Guess he did get the trade anyways. Not as good as I had hoped. There was a Vulcan behind the forest there that I would have hoped to get to, but yeah, had to settle for a Toro.
Fair enough. And so Getterix lives on 1. Getterix on 1 with floppy arms and probably a floppy head tried to... bad choice of words. Anyway, tried to kill a Toro successfully. But he's got a healthy Vulcan sitting behind, a healthy McKay on the other side, and you've got what left? Like, what's the bird doing at this point?
The bird shot the Toro there, and Baldur moves up. The bird moves up, just shoots basically for the whole game, actually. I don't think I punched a single thing in melee with it this game.
All right. So I'm guessing that the following turn is his feet turn, or am I wrong there?
I think you're wrong there, because McKay's feet, he need to have my models in his threat range.
Okay. And he wasn't willing to commit at this point?
No, I was not.
All right. So tell me what happens next then.
So he didn't feat, but since it was during my Baldur feat turn, he didn't want to commit too hard. McKay can't move that far if she wants to be safe as well. Makes sense. And she needed to get my stuff into the feat and keep them there before repositioning for it to have effect. But he did manage to clear out a big chunk of my army. Since the Vulcan is on Prospero, he got guided fire and could easily clear out Cole, Getterix. I had forgot a Blackclad and a Shifting Stone there that he cleared out. So basically all my punch on the left or right side was gone after his Vulcan activation.
And his Vulcan was healthy, fully healthy?
The Vulcan was fully healthy, had fail-safe. Nothing I can do about it really after that turn.
Right.
But
how about on the other side?
Luckily, on the other side, there was a forest kind of in the middle, covering the left flag. So I had Ravagers positioned behind it, and 2 Gallows Grows to just port forwards and score it.
And what did you drop from the well?
My Blackclad that I forgot to activate, and it got killed by Vulcan.
Sad times.
Yeah.
And you mentioned scoring, but we haven't really talked about the scenario much this game. So, like, I think I've lost track, but I think we're definitely at least at the bottom of 2 here. So, what's the scenario score at this point?
Yeah, my turn 2. When I feat, I make sure that nothing will get into my zone, and I have Feast in his zone contesting. Killed up Vanguard as well. That was a bonus I didn't account for. And then I scored the left flag as well, so there's 2-0 to me, and no way he contests my zone.
So you're going to go to 3-0.
You're going to go to 3 something.
Yeah. Presumably at least 3-1, possibly more. Okay, so what does he manage to pull back? What does he score?
He scores back 3A. He kills Getterix and all that stuff. Scores his right flag, or his left, my right flag, with a Trouncer.
Okay.
I had my will shoot Trouncers each turn just to make sure he didn't have that much to score with, but there was still 1 left on that flank.
Makes sense.
So he scored that one and his zone. So by killing Feast then. So we go to 3-2 or 2-3.
Yep.
I want to see it. And in my turn, I go for... Feast had done 6 boxes to the objective. So I go for a scenario play here.
So you're thinking about scoring 4 here. Okay.
Yeah. So my zone is for sure going to get scored. The middle flag is... There's a Toro behind an obstruction. Small obstruction this time. For once.
All right.
That is... I have put some boxes into it with my Storm Raptor shooting.
Yep.
So, and now I get to charge it with the 2 Ravagers, I think, or something like that. I do, however, need to block the counter charge from a Toro that is in his zone, so that that doesn't come and contest my flag, or the middle flag. The left flag was pretty open because he didn't want to commit too hard into it with the forest being there, and I had Ravagers, Death Wolves, everything behind that forest. So there's just one Trancer I need to get rid of around that flag. The one that charged and clear out my Gallows Grove during his turn.
Yeah.
If I do that, I score the 2 flags and my zone, so all I need to do is shoot the objective with my bird for the win. And I managed to do so.
All right, okay. So you scored 4 in that turn?
Yes, I did.
So I think I've missed something, because as far as I'm aware, we haven't discussed his feat turn, or he never got to feat?
He might actually have feated into my feat now when I think about it, or when you mention it.
Right, because it sounded like he got a lot of work done.
Since he just sprays with the Vulcan or mainly McKay, he wanted to clear out as many Ravagers as possible. So I think he just feated, let McKay spray the shit out of my Ravagers and Lord of the Feast. I think he managed to kill like 5 of them, 4 of them, maybe.
Okay.
I rolled quite good tough rolls.
Yeah, that's a bit brutal. And what do you think was his largest misplay? Where do you think he could have done better?
As I said, running everything maximum distance forward turn 1 would have...
Right, you think that was the biggest misplay of the game. If he'd done that, he'd have been in the much better position.
Would have been a better position for, yeah.
And what do you think was his best play? What do you think was the play where you went, oh shit, that's bad for me?
Yeah. When he got the Getorix on, or the Toro onto my Getorix, I didn't see that coming until he did it, basically. Or at least that...
Right.
Not during my turn. In the start of his turn, I eyeballed it like, that looks like maybe 11, and the Toro threatens 12, so this is not going to go well. Or, it's going to go into the well, at least.
Yeah, okay. And what was your biggest misplay? What was your biggest mistake?
My positioning after turn 1, I think, was my biggest mistake. I could have improved Getorix position, Cole's position, and that would have made it, I think, very one-sided.
So actually, for both of you, you think that it was simply the starting positions that started this whole cascade off that was the most important, relevant part of the game?
That, and the fact that I have quite a lot more experience in the matchup, I think, was the turning points.
Right. Okay. And what was your biggest misplay? What was your biggest best play?
Best play, I don't think I had that good plays this matchup. I played it on autopilot mostly.
Okay, so you think it was like a fatigue game?
Yeah, I was kind of exhausted and all that. And I had favorable terrain, a matchup that I know, so I could put on the autopilot for a while.
Well, I mean, if you can autopilot your way through a finals, then you're a better man than I. So that's excellent. Well, fantastic. Once again, I mean, it was such a great pleasure to see the end of that game. I managed to catch it, and I just nothing but respect for winning that tournament. It was a really sharky room, as you said earlier, like a room full of WTC players. Really a massive achievement. So bravo.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep, congrats.
Thank you.
80 players, and you took the crown from Simon.
Yeah.
To be fair, I did lose that crown in round 1, so there wasn't much suspense. It wasn't like, ooh, will he get it? He's just like, oh, he's fucked it immediately. So I do apologise, no suspense. But no, I mean, I had a cracking time. I mean, just to go back, we heard what Robin's thoughts on the organisation and so on were, but we never sort of chimed in with our own. And I would just like to say that Battle at Lund remains, I think, my favourite tournament of the year outside of the WTC itself. Like, it is really well run. You've got the friendliest guys doing all the organisation. They do their absolute best in all regards of organisation, of the tournament, of the venue, of communication. Like, put it this way, I hate 3D terrain more than anybody I know, and I absolutely despise painting requirements. This tournament had both, and I still had the best time of this year. Like, it's just amazing. So I cannot recommend it highly enough.
Yeah, there's not much to add. It's a fantastic convention, and it only got better from the previous year. It might be one of, if not the favorite, throughout the year for me. And the interesting thing is that the previous edition was when we recorded our first episode. It was exactly a year ago.
Have we been doing this for a year now?
Yep.
Wow.
Right? And this is the 20th episode now.
Shit, now I feel old again. I mean, it doesn't take much, but really. Christ. Well, happy anniversary, Boosted Rolls.
Hey!
Hey! That's fantastic. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure on all counts. So, the usual opportunity for people to do shout-outs to absolutely nobody. Lovely. And then we will call it a day. So, this is me signing off. Thank you very much for listening. And Robin, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, and very glad to have the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Robin, for joining us. Thanks, Simon, as usual. And thanks, everyone, for listening.
Pleasure as always. Take care, gents.